This is 5 Live Boxing.
It seems there are no ordinary weeks in the boxing business. We either get the announcement of a super fight or we get a massive story somewhere, sometimes good, sometimes bad. This business, and it's the summer, this business is booming. I'm Steve Bunce and this is 5 Live Boxing. So it's happened again. A massive bill, but this time it's not actually in Saudi Arabia, it's in London. So going to be a balmy night, September the 21st, outdoors, Wembley Stadium. The arch will be lit. There will be 100,000 people packed in there for a series of fights, an undercard that is quite incredible, I assure you. Several fights on the undercard make absolutely no sense. I can't wait to look at them in a bit of depth. And the top of the bill, the newly crowned IBF heavyweight champion of the world, Daniel Dubois, and the man in the opposite corner, the king of Wembley, Anthony Joshua, looking to become a 3-time heavyweight champion. Now, I need to make sense of what was announced today because it's, well, kind of shocking, some of the fights on the undercard. They're brilliant, they're fun, they're ridiculous. I can't believe they're happening. And there is really only one man I can use to try and make sense of it, and that is, of course, former WBO super heavyweight champion of the world, Barry Jones. Barry, I know you really want to talk about the undercard first, but we can't. We've got to deal with the heavyweights. Now, Daniel Dubois has been upgraded from interim heavyweight champion to full heavyweight champion because the IBF, who were possibly going to strip Alexander Usyk, they've been fouled that ridiculous duty because Usyk has now thrown in the belt, given it to AJ, given it to Dubois to fight for. So they will be fighting for the IBF title. We half knew this was happening, but nevertheless, it's still a very good heavyweight fight with enough intrigue.
Yes, a fantastic fight. Listen, a fight of this magnitude, two Brits boxing for the world title, makes it really exciting. But also, what adds an extra bit of spice to that, Steve, is that we know the winner of this fight will box the winner of that undisputed fight, or should be undisputed,
which is going to be taking place in December in Riyadh.
December the 21st, I think, in Riyadh. I was against Usyk. They're trying to get the double over Tyson Fury. So then we're going to get an all British. No, the fight that we thought was going to be guaranteed was this. I don't know. How far did we go back? 5 years ago?
Well, if you do it from it was June the 10th, 2020, when Tyson Fury announced, it's made, it's done, I've spoken to, and he named a series of people. We won't be able to repeat those names. He said, the fight's done, I've spoken to, and it's going to be happening soon. It's going to be me against Anthony Joshua. Now, that was when they were both champions. That was when they were both proper fighters. But it had been talked about from about 2015.
Can I just say, before I'm going to get off topic a little bit here.
Nothing wrong with that, Barry.
But wouldn't it be crazy if in the end, so we still get Joshua versus Fury for all the belts? It just went round the houses to get there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We thought once Joshua got beat against Ruiz, and then we thought that was it. Yeah. That fight's gone. Then we got beat by Usyk, and Usyk again twice. That fight's never going to happen. Fury's gone way above him. And then when Fury, and then we thought, maybe you never know. Josh is on his way back now. Fury beats Usyk. That's the fight. That's the next fight. And then he gets beat by Usyk. You just think it's never meant to happen. But you know what? The crazy thing is, it might be closer now than it ever was before.
And we were so close to having Joshua fighting in theory Deontay Wilder in the summer of probably fall, September, October 2019. That fight looked like it was going to happen. It fell through simply because Andy Ruiz beat Anthony Joshua and ruined the idea that one man could have the 4 belts. Then we had to carry on waiting. We finally got it in May. Forget about history. Let's deal with what we're seeing. I'll spend some time today with Joshua. I spent some time with Dubois. You've been around them. You've seen them today. Did you pick up anything? Was there any part of their body language today that you picked up on in either a positive or a negative way?
I just think we got two different animals that we had 18 months ago. Maybe more. I think you got two.
Great point.
Confidence is the key word, and it's also the key ingredient for any successful sportsman. And they have it again now, and I think for a long time they never had it. I think that was the issue with physically. No, I'm talking about their defeats. Physically, there's nothing much wrong with either one of them, and they didn't physically have to change too much to get back to winning ways. But mentally was the issue. For Anthony Joshua, it was that ability to commit to his attacks, to believe in himself, to throw punches. And for Daniel Dubois, it was just, it was the lack of belief that once he got tired, he could push through to the other side.
So actually, it's in about September of last year, Dubois would have lost to Alexander Usyk. And people suggested he should have done more at the end, and he basically, gave up, switched off, whatever expression you want to use, thought about preserving himself to fight another day. AJ had the one win over Jermaine Franklin, or maybe he was coming up to the Lenius win. And, they were perfectly okay wins, and he was working his way. But both of them at that point hadn't shown they were over their individual defeats.
No.
That was to come in the October, November, December, January, all the way through to March of this year, May of this year.
Well, people still talk about the Riyadh season now and how Joseph Parker has benefited the most out of it. But I would argue these two are close second and third, actually.
2 great wins in Riyadh season.
Exactly, yeah. And not so much the wins, it's how they've won and what they've overcome to win. Let's see, Joshua beating Ngannou is on paper is not a great win at all. He should have beat him. But the way he went about it,
and what Ngannou had done in his previous fight,
exactly. Put that into account. But still, he was still boxing a novice. We got to not recreate history. But still, the way he went out for the finish, when he knocked him down, when he got up, he just walked right up to him and it just catapult. He threw with conviction, and we haven't seen that Joshua for a very long time. We saw it in the Hellenius, I thought,
with that finish,
in Wallin. Sorry, the Hellenius finish was a great finish, but the Wallin fight, he boxed with the man with a bit more confidence, looking for that finish. Yeah. And obviously we got it in with Ngannou. And for Daniel Dubois, I think the Miller fight where he got tired.
Yeah. And had to come back.
He pushed through that wall. You got the runners talk about that wall. You got to get through that wall, in a long distance run, and you get it in a fight sometimes. You got to bust through that wall. And on the other side, when you're tired, on the other side is where that's where the fitness is. Yeah. The fitness is there. The recovery when you push through it, you go, actually, I've got more in the tank. He didn't believe in himself, and I think he did in that fight, and that was evident again more so in the Hrgovic fight.
So, Barry, those are the 2 heavyweights. We will talk about this ridiculous, fantastic undercard. But I got some time with AJ today. Here I am sitting down with him, and he was in a fairly reflective mood. And I must admit, I found out afterwards why he was in such a reflective, low-key mood. Here's AJ talking to me shortly after he'd recorded the head-to-head, the face-to-face, whatever you want to call it, with Dubois. First, we've got to start with the news that Alexander Usyk has decided to give up the IBF belt, so you will be fighting for the IBF belt when you fight Dubois. Were you surprised by that news, or did you expect it of the big lad?
The management team worked hard with negotiations, and for me, it's like a cherry on top. It's a big bonus, and IBF are going to do what they do. They want to force their mandatories, and Usyk had a rematch with Fury, so Daniel's now the IBF champion. So I'm just coming in as a challenger. I'm actually not fighting for a vacant title. I'm coming in as a challenger for the title.
Do you like the idea of being a challenger?
Always, just the mentality I have. Yeah, always.
We're back at Wembley where a lot of things started a long time ago. I remember press conferences back here a million trillion years ago. You look back on those 12 consecutive world title fights, AJ. We went on a journey, didn't we? I know it's still continuing, but it's a ridiculous journey.
Yeah, I know.
12 fights, sellouts all over the place.
Crazy, it's crazy. But you know what? I was watching Black Murderers Row this morning of all the great fighters.
You have to watch that through your fingers.
Yeah,
it's so savage, man.
It's savage, right? And what do we remember about them? Not many people will. So all these memories I'm creating, what do they actually really mean?
Yeah. Some people never forget them though.
Some people,
some people that stumbled out of Wembley after Klitschko, they'll never forget that. They'll never forget the hour you spent in the ring.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think you underestimate what memories you've placed in people's heads over the. It was 6 years of fights.
Yeah, I think about. I just look at it from a life aspect. It's crazy how we forget so much. So for me, I don't get too caught up in it. To be fair, I'm just doing what I'm doing while I'm here.
Dubois brings lots of things to the table.
Yeah.
Those last 2 fights, I don't know if you expected him to turn things around in the Miller fight. I don't know if you expected him to do what he did to Hrgovic. But that showed a side of Dubois that perhaps we were looking and waiting for.
Yeah. He's a fighter. That's what he does. He fights. people paint people with brushes all the time in this industry, but I think Dubois is a fighter at the end of the day, so that's what he does. He had a few tough nights. He's had something like 20 good nights and 2 bad nights, and they label him with that brush.
Judged for the 2 bad nights.
Yeah, but I look past
You only got to
that.
miss 1 penalty.
I'm telling you, right? So I look past that, and I know he's a fighter at the end of the day, so he's coming. He's coming.
Now, you're back at Wembley, a place where we've had some unbelievable nights. Will you come here the night before the fight and have a little wander, do the walk?
No.
You don't do that visualization stuff that certain people do.
I feel
not
like
mad visualization.
No, it's important. I feel like I've got my mind there already, so I've got a vivid imagination, so I can picture things. So I can take my mind to Wembley. Even talking now, I can take my mind to Wembley, and I can picture the ring walk. You know, with a lot of cameras on my way to the ring, whether I'm first in the ring or second, just picture myself walking to the ring. And the best thing that's going to happen for me on that night is knowing exactly what I've got to do. That's going to be giving me a lot of not peace, but I'm at war, but giving me a lot of peace at war, knowing exactly what I need to do.
Does it matter to you the first or second in the ring? Because I'm sure you're not bothered about that. You know, you're challenging for a title. You come in first.
So I knew that would happen at some stage. So when I fought Dylan, I said he can go second. So it's all about who walks out last, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it doesn't matter who's first in the ring.
It is absolutely who walks out last. And also just confirm, you're going to stay in the UK. The camp is going to be in the UK. You're not up in routes to somewhere warm. Not this. It's warm at the moment, but you're not going overseas.
It's hot.
Brutal at the moment.
It's brutal, bro. It's brutal.
Yeah. So with 2 days and you're moaning about the weather.
I'm telling you.
Stop moaning, bro.
I'm telling you. I've gone out and got my fan. And surviving. I'm surviving. It's hot though, but it's all good. Do you know what? There was nothing worse than Texas though. Nothing beats Texas weather. So
because you just walk out, you're just soaking wet.
It's a different kind of heat. It's hard to even explain what kind of heat it is. But it's brutal here. But I've become acclimatized due to the Texas training camp in that tin shed.
So this is easy compared, but easy weather.
A lot easier.
Yeah. And the gym life, still enjoying the gym life? Because I think that's part of what we're seeing at the moment. People keep talking about, are we seeing an old AJ? I said, no, we're seeing the best. I think we're seeing the best AJ. And part of it, I think, is that gym life.
Yeah, definitely.
Content man.
I stay consistent. Like now, I didn't really want to take a holiday. I told it I don't really want to go away. I thought I'll take my holiday here. What am I going to do on holiday? Train. Yeah. So I thought, let me stay back here and focus on training. I didn't bother taking a holiday or anything like that after the last fight. Stay consistent. I went to Saudi to watch the Dubois and Hrgovic fight.
And you trained there as well, didn't you? You and Ben got together there.
No, so we trained for the Usyk and Fury fight.
Oh, okay. So
we went out there for that. That was a holiday,
yeah.
a training camp holiday. Then we went back for the Usyk and Dubois fight. So that's actually where I've been. And the training is really good. I feel, what I mean by that is that being consistent, like where I put myself in boxing, I try and separate myself. So in order to get there, it takes a long time. I don't think I could do it in a training camp. Yeah. It takes multiple training camps. It takes fighting and staying
building
consistent.
Blocks almost.
Yeah, so not going on holiday helped me focus on me putting these blocks together. So when I'm in training camp, I'm already on a very, very solid foundation.
Is that the way you're going to do it now, going forward? It's not a question about the end of your career. It's just that if that's a winning formula, is that the plan for this year, next year?
Texas.
Yeah.
I come back.
Yeah.
So I'm not with my coach. So I'm kind of doing my own thing. Go back to Texas, came back, same situation. And then now I've found my base again, where I'm being consistent. So that's really good.
And that suits you?
Yeah.
Pulling up out in that Harlow gym.
Yeah.
Wandering in.
Yeah.
Past those places out there.
Yeah.
It's not very glamorous, is it? You're not really a glamorous person like that, are you? That's not your kind of glam, is it?
I'm waiting until I finish boxing.
Yeah.
Because we're in the trenches at the minute.
Yeah.
We're at war.
Good.
Yeah, we're at the trenches. Boxing's a place it's a gladiator sport. When boxing's done, then you can sit in the garden.
More glam.
No, just sit in the garden and enjoy what you've done. But at the minute, we're at war, so I'm not really focused on too much glam.
Simple pleasure, sitting in the garden surrounded by some members of your family.
Yeah.
Calling for some food. No, it's the truth.
I'm telling you.
No.
Basics.
I know.
Yeah. Basics.
You've always been like that, though, haven't you?
Yeah.
Tell the truth.
I do enjoy these simple pleasures. Yeah. But I think because I've always been a fighter. Before boxing, always just had it. I've got it in me. Yeah. I've definitely got it in me.
And Dubois, Dubois. You've shared the ring. You've sparred with Dubois. You've been around him. You've watched him fight.
Yeah.
Is it a fight you're looking forward to?
Yeah, definitely. People try to come in there. But it's definitely a fight I'm looking forward to. Another day at the office. As I said, the peace I'll get is knowing exactly what I have to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Then 3-time world champion. That's not bad, is it?
Not bad at all.
Yeah, a bit better than not bad.
Not bad.
So that was AJ, and we've heard him like that before. And I like what I heard, and I like the way he looked. What actually happened, it turns out, is about 20 minutes before then, he and Dubois had to been separated. Not only did they have to be separated, but there were some fairly decent threats. Anyway, I called up with Dubois and had a chat with him. Bear in mind, Dubois just landed about 7 hours earlier, flown in from Brazil. So he was a little bit tired. Here's Daniel Dubois with me in the same room. Daniel, you're going to be walking out at Wembley Stadium, 100,000 people, and you're going to be introduced as Daniel Dubois, IBF heavyweight champion of the world. It's a fairy tale, isn't it? You're walking in dreamland.
Yes, definitely. It's definitely a vision, and it's here. Now it's in reality. We got the belt, and all systems go. Let's go and get greatness as well.
Your career, Daniel, has been... I mean, we talked about roller coasters before, but you've just been on some just mad, crazy boxing journey.
Yeah.
And did you always have faith that you would get to this promised land where you are now?
Yeah, definitely. You know, the faith that my father's instilled in me, I'd say constantly, and, you know, it's just not in the gym or in the ring, but outside of the ring and in life in general. So I'm, you know, thankful for them being there all the time and supporting me. So... yeah, but yeah, it's been a journey up until this point.
And AJ, no disrespects to Kevin Larida, no disrespects to Philip Hrgovic. This is AJ. This is a massive global name. Yeah. This is a British guy that's just become iconic, become this massive figure. It's you and AJ, two Brits fighting for a heavyweight title. Yeah,
we shared. Yeah, definitely. I know, spent time with him before and all that. So yeah, I'm confident. I'm ready to go. This is the greatest. This is like Lennox Lewis, Frank Bruno. This is one of them great fights that I'm glad to be a part of. I'm blessed to be a part of.
You like your old history, don't you? Like you like that sort of British history. You like those big heavyweight fights from the past, don't you?
I love watching that. I love looking back on the history and feeling like I'm part of it, and I'm bringing it into this modern era.
And is that important to you, that the idea that you're attached to it, that you're now one of those guys you used to watch?
Yeah.
You're one of them now. You're a heavyweight champion, involved in a massive fight, involved in fights that were, I'm whispering it, bigger than they were ever in.
Exactly. I'm thinking about it now, and it's just giving me goosebumps. But yeah, let it sink in, man. I've got work to do. I've got improvement to do. I've got to become a beast on the night, and let's go. I'm ready.
Dan, there'll be a lot of pressure on you, and I'm going to ask you this because, you know, I can. There'll be a lot of pressure on you. You're going to be able to handle it on the night. It's a lot of pressure. I know you've been in big fights, but you haven't been in a fight this big.
Listen, I've handled this pressure before. I've come back from adversity. I've come out of, you know what I'm doing? I'm coming out of darkness and into the light. So this isn't nothing for me. This is just, you know, part of the journey and the next step in the journey.
And finally, Dan, when you walk out, that noise, you're going to be right at the back. You're going to have got that long walk to the ring.
Yeah.
You're going to look up. There's going to be 100,000 people with their lights on.
Yeah.
What do you think that's going to be like, Dan?
I'm not thinking about that. I'll be zoned in, to be fair.
Ignoring it. Just ignoring 90,000 people.
But, you know, when I look back on that and think back about it, you know, everyone will be talking. Everyone will be talking. Everyone, family, people my dad knows, his old friends that love boxing, they'll all be up for it. With all the old coaches that trained me as an amateur, they'll be watching. From Del Youth to Repton and Lynn and all these clubs that I've been through, they'll all be watching, and, you know, some guys will be, let him do it. Let's go and do it, son. He's a Brit. He's a true Brit. He can do it.
Because that is the British journey, isn't it?
That's it. That's the proper journey. That's no shortcuts. You know, I paid my dues. I've come from my ups and downs, and, this is redemption time.
So, Barry, that was Dubois. You've heard the pair of them. And you could sense something in Dubois' voice. He's quite excited. I like the idea that he was talking about his old amateur clubs and they'll all be watching him. I've never heard him talk about history like that before. That's generally what Joshua does.
Well, he's at that status now, isn't he? Where he's starting to think, you know, I got to start giving stuff back maybe. And
that's a nice line.
He didn't win the world title the way he wanted to because it was given to him. But I would say he's going to get criticised for being a world champion and not having been announced as a world champion. But beating Hrgovic
Yeah.
is a good enough win for a world title win. So let's give him his credit for that.
Yeah.
I think so. You know, he got the IBF title given to him, and it's unfortunate for that. But if he gets that win against Anthony Joshua, that'll be a better feeling all round.
Well, just bear in mind when back in 15, when the IBF stripped Tyson Fury the morning after he'd beaten Vladimir Klitschko to win the IBF belt. Tyson Fury hadn't even had his eggs. He'd come downstairs. He was in a real state because he had blisters. He got stripped at breakfast so they could have Glazkov against Charles Martin, neither of whom had fought anybody as good as Jarrell Miller, or neither of whom had fought anybody anywhere near as good as Filip Hrgovic. So they've got history for it.
And also, I would argue this, and I'm not picking sides,
But
I think the Hrgovic win for Dubois is better than the Charles Martin win for Anthony Joshua.
So do I. And you know what? I didn't ask AJ that, but I don't think he would disagree. Because as Eddie Hearn said, I'm not sure where he said it, either to me or outside during the press conference. As Eddie Hearn said, people weren't exactly running to Filip Hrgovic. No. Don't worry about that.
But still, you want to win the belt, and you want to win it like the traditional way. So this fight for him will feel like he's challenging for the title, even though it's his.
You know, I had a very busy session here today. I got hold of both Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. Here I am with Frank Warren, of course. Now he's backed Daniel Dubois from scratch. He's been with Daniel Dubois from scratch. Here's Frank on Daniel and other things heavyweight.
You know, you got the new kid on the block who's now the IBF champion. He's defending his title against AJ, who's hit a lot of form in his last 4 fights, having coming off of that, losing his title. And he wants to obviously get that belt back because there's a big fight on the 21st of December in Riyadh, which again is part of the Riyadh season, between the rematch between Usyk and Tyson, and the winner of that, I'm sure, would want to be fighting the winner of this IBF fight, because then you've got another unification job.
And a few months ago, when we did a head-to-head thing with a few heavyweights, and you and Eddie were there, we saw Daniel Dubois lose his cool with Hrgovic, really bite at Filip Hrgovic, the Croatian. You know, he's a nice guy, he's a fun guy. He was winding Daniel up. He really went. Well, my understanding is, maybe we'll see it soon, that the same thing happened here with AJ and Daniel Dubois. It got very, very heated, I'm told.
It did, but you know, he's quite an introvert. He's not one of them sort of big loud guys or whatever.
He's not frying tables,
but he's not standing no nonsense from anybody. And he's, you know, I've noticed a big change of him, changing him in the last year, his maturity level and so forth, and he's got a lot of confidence about himself now.
And Frank, with regards to the undercard, I'm fascinated by the undercard because, like the 5v5, we'd heard so many rumours, so most people guess 4 or 5 of them. The 4 or 5 undercard fights, some of them have come absolutely nowhere. Willie Hutchinson, Joshua Barazzi, I know there was some kind of purse bid and a deal. That's one of your young kids against a seasoned man. Then also Hamza Shiraz, the unbeaten, very young middleweight, against Tyler Denny, a guy that everyone seems to overlook. He had a great win against Felix Cash. Those, I think, are 2 exceptional fights.
I agree with that. I mean, they're really cracking fights, as are all those fights that are on the card. You know, and you got that great fight with Josh Warrington
and Anthony Kakashi.
That is a cracker of a fight. And
then at some point after or close to midnight, AJ and Dubois will walk to the ring. Dubois has been in some big fights. AJ's been in bigger fights. Will Dubois be okay on the night? Because it's precious that we don't know.
Well, look, you'll find out on the night. I believe he will be. As I say, he's matured. He's gone into his last 2 fights being a big underdog, with this slur that he's, basically he's got no heart. Well, he's shown he's got heart in, bundles and bundles of heart in his last 2 fights, and this one, he's up for this. He fancies this big time. He really does fancy this fight.
And I thought we might have been finished with talking about the first time you sat down and had a glass of wine with Eddie, but we're back onto it again with the 2 heavyweights. I thought we'd just get on with business without talking about it. We've got to keep going back to it.
It's another Queensbury v Matchroom. That's what it is, and they're good fun. And at the moment,
good fun for you.
We're in front.
The good fun for you.
Yeah.
Good fun if you're in the Queensbury team. Not so much fun if you're in Eddie's Matchroom team.
Well, that's their fault.
Listen, I'll tell you what, it's a brilliant heavyweight fight. It's
a great show.
Yeah.
It's a great show, and it's a great world title fight, but it's a great all British affair. And you go back over the years, looking at all those great fights, Brit v Brit, they've always been competitive, always been classics, and I believe this one will be the same.
So do I. Frank, thanks for your time.
Cheers, mate.
So that was Frank Ward. Let's hear from Eddie Hearn and see in case he's got a different interpretation of events, which I'm sure he has. And don't worry, Barry, we will get some time to talk about the undercard. Here's Eddie with me earlier. Eddie, I understand it's been a fairly lively morning already here at Wembley with the two boxers out on the pitch somewhere and exchanging some forthright opinions. I'm not sure what you can say and can't say.
Yeah, well, it'll be out very soon. Probably the time it goes out, this will be out anyway. So, yeah, they had to be separated in a face-to-face. A little bit unexpected, but, you know, sometimes when you put those guys in those environments and you're kind of prodding, it's like, you know, you're going to get a reaction. And I think Daniel said a few things that definitely flicked the switches of Anthony Joshua, and they had to be separated. So, big fight, September 21st, and, you know, AJ will downplay the sort of legacy, you know, opportunity here. But this is to become a three-time world heavyweight champion. And, you know, there was only, I always argue, one official 3-time. There's been others that have been 4 times, but Muhammad Ali was a 3-time world heavyweight champion. I think Lennox, arguably in a situation, of course, there was a 4-time world heavyweight champion as well. I'm speaking to the guy that will definitely correct me on that, but it's a massive, massive thing. Yeah. And AJ says, no, it's about the performance, etc. But for me, this is just path to getting what we always wanted, which was undisputed. And the winner of this will fight for undisputed. I think there's no doubt about it.
There's absolutely no doubt about it. I spoke to AJ, and it's almost like he doesn't want to say 3-time world champion. You know, like whereas an American would be howling it. It's almost like he doesn't want to say it.
Yeah,
it's almost like
I think he puts the pressure on himself for the performance. And he did say that. I think he said in the face-to-face that, like, I can't deny. Obviously, that is the thing.
Yeah,
but I'm about performing. I'm about this, and I do believe him. But at the same time as well, like it's a massive achievement, and especially when those who wrote him off. And I love the fact that Daniel Dubois has been elevated to world champion because it's not even a vacant belt.
So he's the challenger.
Yeah,
AJ.
he's got to dethrone him, and I like that. I like that mentality, and I'm excited for this one. It's a brilliant fight. Two massive punching British heavyweights for the world heavyweight title.
Yeah. With a bit of history, and also with it seems they've still got a bit to prove. Both of them have a little bit to prove. Dubois especially, because after the two defeats, you've got a bit of a kick in. Let's not mince our words. You've got a bit of a kick in. And AJ, of course, well, just about everybody wrote him off for about 18 months or so, Ed. So it's ideal that they'll get to prove something to each other in front of what could be 80 or 90,000. I have no idea what you guys are saying.
100, I believe.
100,
yeah, 100,000 hopefully this time. And it's going to be amazing. I mean, the card, everything incredible. But, you know, you get written off a lot at different times, and then you come back, and, you know, like AJ's been written off, Dubois has been written off. Look, absolutely. He come back. I mean, Jarrell Miller's a good win, but Hrgovic is a really good win. And, you know, you cannot deny he's an elite heavyweight right now. And, you know, I think he's 26 years old, is he? You know, 26. Yeah. AJ's 34. Still a baby, yeah. But AJ's in his absolute prime, like technically, physically, mentally, emotionally. Like he's in a really good place, and it's something different being out there and experiencing those 100,000 in that kind of environment. And he's done it
so many times.
He has, and look, you know, Daniel's boxed in Poland. Was on the undercard for White against Fury or whatever it was. So you can't say he hasn't got experience, but not that kind of experience, not that kind of pressure.
Not when you're the lead character as well.
And we know it's a dangerous fight, but very confident.
Now, with AJ, it just seems to have changed, and I can't put my finger on what it is. It's not just the fact that he's had a couple of wins. It's not just the fact that he switched to Ben Davison, so he's close enough to home. There just seems something like calm about him. I just think maybe not when he was outside.
It's just age, Bunce. I just think like when you're in your 20s and you don't really know what you're doing or where life's going to take you. Just it's kind of like just figuring life out. And I just think naturally when you're 8 years older than someone else, you're going to have figured life out more. It doesn't mean you're in a better place than the other person in terms of your career or wherever, but you just know, you get it, right? And AJ gets the whole business. He gets it in the ring, he gets it out the ring. He's ice cold to the atmosphere, he's ice cold to the emotion. He doesn't get nervous, he doesn't, his temperament doesn't really change. And Dubois got to deal with that. And Dubois' emotions will be all over the place during this, from today to the build-up, to the media stuff,
To the last week.
to the questions from the media, to the doubt of the fight fans, to the ring walk, to that moment, to the weigh-in, to the presser. Like, he's going to be using a lot of energy, but he's a young man, and he's dangerous in this fight. You've got to take him very seriously. But I think the experience here will be key.
Yeah, massive event. Outdoors at Wembley with AJ and Dubois. Didn't think I'd ever get to say that.
Nor did I. I mean, I never
Hand on
thought it
heart.
was a fight that would happen, but he's earned it. Dubois earned it. Don't
100%.
forget, we were going to fight Hrgovic for the world heavyweight title. He beat him. Yeah. Now, rather than England versus Croatia, you got 2 Brits at the National Stadium for the world heavyweight title.
Let's leave the football out of it, son, at the moment,
don't.
Because it's not really, not even undercard material at the moment. Ed, thanks for your time.
Cheers.
Now, if you like your sports podcasts to have twists, to have blood, to have intrigue, to have a little bit of murder, if you don't mind me saying so, but at the heart of it, to have boxing, to have proper sport, then you might just like Power Play, the House of Don King. I spent a lot of time with Lennox Lewis putting this together. I think they're fantastic episodes. Well, I would say that, wouldn't I? I'm personally involved. You can download all of them on BBC Sounds. Before we move on to the undercard, I've got to tell you something Eddie told me in one of the interviews or one of the conversations I had with him today. He was saying that when Daniel had done a deal with Frank Warren, an intermediary, a third party, called Eddie up and said, look, Eddie, this is what Frank's offered you. All you've got to do is match it, and he's your fighter. So Eddie looked at the figure and he said, why would I pay that much money for an 18-year-old who I've never even seen or I don't know? And then he looked at me and he went, well, maybe I made a mistake. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. That was one particular thing. I think this is a potentially fantastic heavyweight fight. I think there's got shootout potential, absolute shootout potential.
I think guarantee, because the one thing you get with Frank Warren mentioned in the press conference, it's the battle of the jabs. And I was gutted he said that, because on the broadcast I was working on, that was my key thing to talk about, so I couldn't use it no more. But
people nick all your lines, don't they?
What's that?
And people nick all your lines, don't they? I mean, all the stuff you use, they just use them like it's standard. Pivot being the big one.
One guy did it in a Welsh accent once.
That's outrageous.
but it was. But I do think it's important to jab, because you very rarely see Anthony Joshua out jabbed when he wins. That is, he's very rarely gets. And if it is, it's for short periods of time. Then he establishes his left hand over everyone else's. But Daniel Dubois' jab. It's not the conventional jab. It's a power shot. He steps in behind it. Yeah. It's just a ramrod left hand. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a lump of wood. Just
so it's something different to a jab, even though it's a straight left hand from an orthodox shot.
So Joshua being a bit more on the balls of his feet, the rhythm, like I like this when he gets the leverage for the right hand, using his jab more fluently, might be offset by that bam of a left jab from Dubois. So that's why, and both will know this, or the camps will know this, and that's why they want to establish that jab early, get the rhythm, start dictating the pace as quick as you can. Like you always should, but in this fight there's going to be more so. That's why it's going to start quickly. And I think once someone lands with a decent jab, that right hand's going to follow. And in that division, if the right hand lands, the fight's over.
We all know, and I spoke to Don Charles about this, and I don't want to dwell in history too much, that we all know, I think it's standard, that Daniel Dubois took too many right hands from Hrgovic. And Eddie's reasoning and AJ's reasoning and the people around him is quite simple. He won't be able to take that many right hands from AJ.
No, and he won't. No,
it's not that simple, is it?
I don't think he will take that many right hands from. I think Hrgovic is a slower puncher, heavy-handed but slower puncher. So if you do take a good shot, which I think contrary to public opinion, I think Dubois actually does take a good shot. But those slow shots, you get used to the weight. With Joshua, it's a sweep. It's either sweeping right hand or he twists from the hips, and it's a fast
goes
right
right
hand.
Through you.
Yeah, the speed in the shot is what's going to get added with the weight as well. By the way, that's what's going to get you. So you're not going to be able to take those shots. That's what makes Joshua the favourite.
Yeah.
But also, by the way, he's not bulletproof either. And
that's Frank Warren's big thing. He's not bulletproof.
Is extremely heavy-handed, and also they're both. He's probably coming from a better place than Joshua, ironically, because he's beat a world-class fighter,
and Joshua beat a world-class novelty act. Beat him in style. By the way, I didn't mention that. Obviously, you and AJ did do a post Ngannou masterclass
On the
where
BBC
pair of you
pod?
broke on the BBC pod, which people inside Joshua's team still talk about. And I met some people recently after a fight in Birmingham, a school teacher and her friend, and she was talking about your post-fight Ngannou Joshua masterclass, and she wanted to pull it up on her phone and show me.
Well,
it's ridiculous situation.
I've been telling people it was pre-fight Ngannou.
Oh, yeah, that's just fibbing.
The reason he knocked him out was that I showed him how to throw the right hand, ironically from someone who couldn't punch.
Okay, Barry, then we've got 38 seconds left. So let's. So the undercard, I know I've been banging on about it, and you're obviously listening to this. You know what you're doing. You listen to me all the time. You listen to Barry all the time. So you do know the undercard. We'd got wind that Joshua Buatsi and Willie Hutchinson, because there'd been some kind of purse bid for the WBO interim title. Forget that. So we had a feeling that might be on the bill. I like that fight. That's cracking.
Yeah.
Let's get it right. That's cracking. I'm going to go through the fights first, quickly. Well, I like that fight. Then, out of nowhere, just a few days after defending his European middleweight title in style against Felix Cash, Tyler Denny is matched with Hamza Shiraz. And then, completely out the blue, and obviously everyone in boxing knew it was going to happen because we do like porky pies, don't we, in boxing? Josh Warrington at Super Feather against Anthony Kakachi. And then one that was completely caught everyone off guard, Liam Beefy Smith, looking very beefy. Liam did. Let's not mess around. He's in between fights against Josh Kelly. And I saw, you'll love this, I saw Josh Kelly on Saturday night in Birmingham at the fights. Went over to him, had a chat, said, what's coming up? Josh went, got nothing planned at the moment. Nothing planned at the moment. I classify him as a friend. 100 hours later, he's done me out like a kipper. So, Barry, which one of those? Just go through those four. Talk to me. I love them all. Every one of them.
I thought maybe I'm more friends than you are with Josh Kelly, and that's surprising. We don't even know each other. But I spoke to him Saturday. I bumped into him Saturday. I said, when you're out next, he went, I'm out very, very soon on a big show in September. I said, oh, brilliant. He said, yeah, 160.
He didn't.
I swear. I honestly.
Right, Josh Taylor's off my Christmas card list now. I can assure you.
I was talking about Josh Kelly, so that's fine.
Josh Taylor's never off my Christmas list. Excuse me.
Joshua Buatsi versus Willie Hutchinson is a good fight, really. And it's the fight Hutchinson deserves after beating Craig Richards. I think it's. I still feel though, and without being too disrespectful to Hutchinson, it's Buatsi's fight to lose, and Buatsi needs to show us something. No. I mean, he needed to show us something for a long time. Yeah. He's a good fighter. I know he beat Dan Aziz. He beat some good fighters.
He beat Craig Richards. He beat Dan Aziz and some other Continentals.
He needs that wow performance to show us why we thought he was going to be world champion when he turned pro, to remind us why, and to show us that he can take that next step up against the real big boys.
And I know that's the step up that we wanted to take. Obviously, Anthony Yard's been mentioned with him, and Bivol and Batur have all been mentioned with him. They never happened. But what he hasn't had until now is a noisy dance partner. Dan Aziz, great dance partner. Craig Richards, great dance partner. We had 24 rounds with those two. Fantastic. Some of the Aziz rounds are brilliant. But neither Aziz or Craig Richards are selling fights, been stunted and getting in his face and doing that stuff. All the type of stuff that will raise the profile of this fight. We've got to move through this. This is a very long pod. Yeah. So that's why Hutchinson is a perfect dance partner for Buatsi.
He is, yeah. So as long as Buatsi can show us the potential, and potential of the man at his age is ridiculous, he should do a really good job.
Hamza Shiraz. Hamza Shiraz and Tyler Denny.
Well, on paper, Hamza Shiraz should dictate this any way he wants.
Like Felix Cash should have.
Anyway, he wants, like Felix Cash, like Brad Paul. The list goes on. But Tyler Denny makes a living out of it's ridiculous. He's a B-side in every fight he has. Even as European champion, he's still the B-side. Even as defending his title, he's still the B-side. He's still the underdog. But what he has, and he's not technically great. He hasn't got loads of power, but his ability is he's awkward and he drags you into his fight. Yeah. He drags you into his fight very early. We've seen it against Felix Cash, seen it against others. He drags you into his fight almost after a round and a half. And then you're competing, but he's got you where he wants you. He got you where he wants you. He's a master of it, and I think he's getting better every fight.
I do too, and I think that's a great fight. I talked to Shiraz about that, and I said, look, your problem at the moment, Hamza, is you can't just beat him, you've got to look good. You're in a situation now where you're in the spotlight. You've got to keep looking good. Anthony Kakachi, Josh Warrington, up at super featherweight.
Great fight.
Kakachi's last fight beats Joe Cordina. Josh Warrington, always looking for rematches, it seems. Turned his back on Lee Wood, turned his back on everyone. Now fighting Kakachi up at a bit of extra poundage, which I think he needs. Don't get me wrong.
He overdue the move up
What
to
a
super
fight this is.
Yeah, but it's overdue the move up to super featherweight for Josh Warrington.
About 2 years too late.
Yeah, I think so. But like 1 win in 5 fights, Steve. I know one draw, so there's not all defeats. But but Kakachi, the way he just kept the accuracy with the power in the shots against Joe Cordina makes him a really hard man to beat. But Warrington's a cleverer fighter. People give him credit for.
Absolutely.
They think he's this guy who just keeps his hands high and walks forward. He's a cleverer fighter. That's a really good scrap. That'll be the fight of the night.
Yeah, I'm fancy that's fun. Liam Smith against your very good friend Josh Kelly. Guy I've occasionally met and had a conversation with. This is a really interesting, and as you say, it's up at 160, as he told you the other night. Yeah,
He did.
you know when he told you this. Did you not think? No, do you not think when we were doing the pavement pod after that, the pavement boxing pod after that, when you and I were walking on, do you not think about saying, oh, by the way, I had a chat with Josh Kelly tonight. He told me his next fight's going to be at 160. Did you not think about mentioning it during that pod by any chance?
I was trying to, but you wouldn't shut up.
There's a lot of that going around. I think Josh Kelly and Liam Smith's a really good fight. There's a little bit of desperation.
Left field, isn't it? As well, but it came from really
proper left field.
See, it's a little bit like his Avanesian fight.
Yeah.
Except I think Liam Smith's a much better fighter. Liam Smith don't get enough credit for how clever he is, by the way.
The truth.
But I think Josh Kelly up at middleweight, I think as welterweight he was drained, so he'd have loads of energy, and I think he's a better fighter now. And Liam Smith, as he said himself in the press conference, they'll think I'm past my sell-by date, paraphrasing what he said.
You're going to find out I'm not.
Well, but he might be, Steve. I think that...
And he won't know, will he?
He won't know. So you don't... I said this all the time. You don't know until the training goes well.
Yeah.
But it's different intensity. You don't know until fight night.
Yeah.
So we're not quite sure. But it's still a good fight. And it's a fight night that Kelly could get wiped out in.
Yeah.
Or he could dance a merry tune against Liam Smith and make Liam Smith the gold overnight.
What a series of fights. What a midweek it's been here at Wembley in the glorious sunshine. Not that we've seen any of the sunshine. We've been in this dungeon. We keep finding places, ridiculous dungeons.
Can we just mention Mark Chamberlain?
We can indeed. I forgot about Mark Chamberlain, yeah.
I don't
the Saudi favourite.
I don't want to talk about his fight so much. I just want to talk about... I saw him today.
Yeah.
I didn't say hello to him. He wasn't that far away either. He was only about like 20 yards away. I didn't say hello to him because I thought... He looks like Mark Chamberlain.
But he can't because he
looks about 15 stone.
Unbelievable.
He's massive.
But all over.
No,
like all over.
That's not fat.
That's what I said. It's all over.
Unbelievable.
So I mean, he genuinely looked today like a really... He looked like a small cruiserweight.
He's talking to Darren Parker, the former middleweight champion of the world.
Bigger in every way.
Well, Darren's not thick set, but he's still tall, isn't he?
Big old middleweight.
He was almost the same height as Darren, if not taller than Darren, actually, but twice as wide. And I thought, no wonder he's beating everyone up. He's a middleweight somehow, making lightweight.
So Mark Chamberlain's on that bill. Hamza Shiraz is fighting Tyler Denny. Josh Warrington challenging Anthony Kakachi for a world super featherweight title. Liam Smith against Josh Kelly. And Willie Hutchinson, fresh off a victory in the 5v5 against Craig Richards, against Anthony Boazzi, a man that we all thought might be a king by now, but he still could be a king. That's just the undercard. And then at the top of the bill, Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua. Between them, something like 47 knockouts. I think they've dropped their opponents nearly 100 times, okay? So don't blink. There will be 100,000 people in there. It's called the Riyadh season. It's the Wembley edition of the Riyadh season. She had another fight that's being made, relentlessly being made on this schedule, this list of fights, this seemingly endless list of fights. Of course, there's a massive Riyadh season, the Los Angeles edition on August the 3rd. Then in October, we'll be back in Riyadh. Then in December, we'll be back in Riyadh. It's not a case of pushing the Riyadh season, but when you've got fights and nights and cards like this, you've just got to hold your hands up and acknowledge it. It's that simple. What a time it's been. Dubois against Joshua in front of 100,000 people at Wembley Stadium. That's a sentence I never, ever thought I'd say. Thanks to Barry Jones. Thanks to everybody that joined me on the special pod. I'm Steve Bunce, and this has most definitely been 5 Live Boxing. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to BBC Sounds. You can find every single episode of Power Play, The House of Don King, on BBC Sounds. And inside those episodes, there's a little bit of something for everybody.